Hi, I'm Chris with Audioborn, and this is the Vintrolux, a MIDI control surface designed specifically for Universal Audio's Luna. And I wanted something musical and inspiring on the desk, something to help me stay in the creative flow, and also just wanted a good solid single fader. And so that's why I built this. Eventually, I began adding more to it now with a bunch of editing controls, and just kind of keeps growing. And with the Updater app, it's actually really easy to load new firmware to it as it evolves. So it's currently available online at audioborn.com or on reverb.com. So check it out if you want one. But yeah, let's dive in, see what this thing can do. All right, let's go ahead and power it on, which you can do at any time, mid-session, pre-session. And just takes a couple seconds for it to load, and then you're changing tracks. You can see the fader is changing to the gain. You got your track controls in the middle. Solo, mute, record arm. You can select multiple tracks and do the same. You can, if you're using your mouse to jump around the tracks, the Vintrolux has no problem with that. So you don't have to worry about banking. It always knows where it is. It always can figure out where it is. So you've got track height over here. Then we've got the transport and what I like to consider kind of the flow controls at the bottom. The controls I need to use a lot when I'm tracking and kind of toggle back and forth. So you've got your memory locations here. Click track, pre-roll, toggle, and then you've got the MIDI merge toggle. So those three things I have to hit all the time when I'm tracking. So that's all across the bottom. Like I said, the memory locations here, you can hold on back to go all the way to the beginning. A long hold on the next button actually opens up your bounce dialog. And then you can close out of Windows by double-clicking the edit button. And I'll go over the edit mode as well. The edit mode essentially adds a secondary function to a lot of the buttons and knobs. So let's look at the fader and automation. If we can go into this track here. And just super easy to punch in and out. Latch mode, turn on, and just start adjusting. When you let go, it will move back to the line. And then in edit mode, we also have our undo, redo. So if you click into edit mode, you can undo here, or you can redo. Undo and redo is on a knob, which is fantastic. I've actually never seen that before. Okay, click out of there. The automation takes place all in one button. So we went into touch mode. To go back to read, you just hold, and then hold again to get into off, and then a long press toggles between read and off. If you want to be in latch mode, in edit mode, click the touch button. Now you're in latch mode. And the only difference there is, when you let go of the fader, it's going to stay where you let go of it. And when you stop, it's just that's going to be the new volume for the rest of the track. All right, let's undo that. Back to read. And now the dual knob workflow, the playhead plus zoom, which is uniquely Vintrolux. Basically, you zoom in and out with the right knob, and then playhead is on the left knob. The playhead moves according to the grid increment. So right now we're on bar. There's a good acceleration on the playhead, so in just one spin or so, you can get across the entire section. As you zoom in, the grid amount is linked to the zoom. So you can start to see the grid is on beat, and as we zoom in, now it's on half note, quarter note, eighth note, and that way is always appropriate for the zoom level you're in. Now, you can always change it manually with the grid knob. You can go in here and get the 64th notes. And then to kind of get synced back up, you just zoom out and in a couple times, and it's linked up. Another feature on zooming out, let's say you're at the beginning of this beat, and you zoom in and you get some 64th notes, you kind of move over. Now, when you zoom out, it's actually going to move you to the nearest bar, because a lot of times you zoom out, you don't realize you were just off the bar. You start making a bunch of mixing decisions, thinking you're on the bar, and then you have to go back. So that prevents that from happening. So when you zoom out, rest assured you're always going to be on a bar. So that brings us to the edit mode. When you go into edit mode, a lot of the buttons change functionality. So now the click track and pre-roll button are cut and copy, and the merge button is paste. And you can actually make selections and move them with the playhead and zoom knob. So if we're here, let's say we're on that Juno wave. Now we're in edit mode. We are going to use the zoom knob to make a selection, and then you can use the playhead to move the selection. And actually, let's put that on a bar so you can really see the movement. All right, you can always click out of edit mode to deselect whatever is selected. So if you have anything, I'm using the mouse here to just sort of make the selection. You're at the Vintrolux, you want to start doing something, you want to get rid of that selection, just double click the edit button. Okay, so in edit mode, go in edit mode, and the zoom becomes the ability to make the selection. You can cut, undo, you can copy, you can then move over here, paste. The back and next buttons become fade in and fade out. So we can go in here, and that's a fade in. If we went a little further, we could do a fade out. Oh, there we go. And can't really see the fade in that well. We can see a little better there. Okay, and then again, undo, redo on a knob makes killing all that super easy. So the track height button, when you press it, toggles between mix and edit. When you're in mix, then turning the knob scrolls the console there. There's also a couple cool little shortcuts. If track gain is off of Unity, holding down the solo button will push to Unity. If you're in edit mode and you have a clip selected, holding the mute button is mute clip. And again, just wanted to show the double click edit button. If you're in text box here, it's also a situation where you might want to double click out so you can get back to your controls. I think that's a pretty good tour for now. And that's the Vintrolux, built for Luna, designed to keep you in the flow. One fader, smart knobs, and enough control to write, track, and edit without breaking your creative rhythm. Learn more at audioborn.com or reach out if you have questions. Thanks.